Oh,
Today's session, we're going to be learning some in Tafrei Shayin Vav Sifei, which is the last sif of the sim, which is going to be discussing primarily about the direction and how we set up the menorah, meaning where did the oil go on the first night, second night, what do you light first, etc. Just a basic introduction and summary of all of these relevant halachas in one is, first of all, there's going to be different opinions as to how to place the oil, the wicks, candles on the menorah. There's going to be different opinions. We're going to see. We're basically going to go like one opinion, and we're going to learn about that more. However, it should be pointed out that the Be'er Halacha over here, the last Be'er Halacha of this simon says all of these halachas is just talking about lechatchila. In other words, what is preferable to do? This is the preferable way to fix the menorah, right? Bidi Evid. However, if this wasn't done, someone would certainly fulfill his obligation. So I remember one time with my extended family, and we're going back and forth with this, and it's creating a whole tumult and everything. That's good. We're talking Torah and everything. But at the end of the day, you have to realize if it's going to lead to a shalom bayis issue, an issue in the house of some sort, the compromising would come first because this is all the preferable way to do it. And when it comes to a rift in the house and a quarrel, that's much worse. So give in. Point number two is we're going to learn about that, and this is a pretty well-known halacha, that when a person lights the menorah, not just his hand should be by what he's going to be lighting first, but his entire body. In other words, let's say a person's going to light a candle right over here, right? Don't just put your hand over here, put your entire body near that candle, as opposed to, right? For example, let's say like this, right? Let's say you have two candles, right? You're standing over here, but your hand is over here. So now your hand's closer to what you're going to be lighting, but your body isn't. No, get your whole body and hand closer. We're going to learn about that.
we're going to learn about that.
Yeah, we're going to
Wow.
learn about that. We're going to see. I'm just telling you the basic halachas.
Okay, just time.
The idea is ein mavir and a mitzvah. You don't want to pass over a mitzvah. We're going to see. So those are some of the basic ideas that are going to come out from that simon. From what we're going to be learning about. That is a summary of all of the super duper relevant halachas. Let's start today's session with none other than the Shulchan Aruch. Yaschil lahadlik belel rishon bener hayoser yamini. You start lighting on the first night with the candle, with the oil, the wick that is more towards the right, the one that's all the way to the right. Ubelel sheni, and on the second night, kishayoisif ner echad samachlo, when you're going to add a second candle near it, then you make the bracha on the additional nair, on the wick or the oil, yoiser smali, which is more towards the left, in order that you are moving to the right. So in other words, you're lighting one here, one there, you're lighting this one first, and then to the right. Now, this should be pointed out that the Shulchan Aruch over here, like the Gemara, is not discussing where you're lighting inside your house. Right? It's not. So therefore, what we're talking about when we say the right is the right that's facing all of the passerbyers. So your menorah, let's say, my menorah is over here. I'm behind the menorah, streets in front of the menorah, and the house is that way. So you want to light the first night this one, second night this one, and you start with this one. That's how you do it. I was actually going to bring a menorah in to demonstrate, but I forgot last minute. So, anyways, my
We have a
fault.
couple more days. We have a couple more days.
Yeah, well, I want to get through all the Mishnah Brews over here on Monday. So that's what you do. Now, before we dive into the Mishnah Brews, let's just finish off the Shulchan Aruch over here. V'chein belal shlishi kisi Yosef oid echad samach l'shnei neiros harishonos yaschel benoisef. Similarly, on the second night, on the third night, when you're going to add more, you're going to add another two neiros. So you begin with the additional one. Bo yaschel bracha. That's how you start the bracha, and then you go to the right. So in other words, if you have three candles, you're going to start from this one and move this way. You're going to move right. Similarly, every single night, Nimsa, consequently, we find Tamid, that always, Mevorech, you're always going to be making a bracha ala noisef, on the additional one. Shumoira ala nes, because that demonstrates the miracle, Shahari, b'tosefas yamim, Nisvase nitoisif hanes. Because as the days go on, the miracle it gets added to as well. The Shulchan Aruch begins. Actually, sorry, the Mishnah Berurah. Before we start the Mishnah Berurah, I'd just like to point out over here that the Aruch HaShulchan in Osir Aleph says that we hold like the Beis Yosef, like the Shulchan Aruch, we go like this. The Kaf HaChaim in Sivkot and Lamed Aleph says, since the Shulchan Aruch holds this way, that Rizal holds this way, this is how we're going to go. And he says, I'm not going to write a lot about this because this is how we go. That's what the Kaf HaChaim says. Piskei Tshuvos, Osvav says the custom is to go like the Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah, and that is also what the Arizal did, like we just saw, and that's what most Achronim agreed to do. Should be pointed out that it's also discussed that a lefty would also light this way as well. Piskei Tshuvos also discusses this shaila over here, a lefty. The Mishnah Berurah begins in Tess and says, "Ve'ein chiluk bein shemaniach miyam ha'pesach bein shemaniach mismal." There's no difference whether you place your menorah if you're lighting by the door. So if you're lighting to the right of the door, or if you're lighting to the left of the door, there's not going to be a difference. You always begin the bracha from the additional candle. All right. Now, Mishnah Berurah continues and says, some say, Di'im munach biyamin ha'pesach azisarach ha'haskil tamid bener hayamini. Some say that if you're going to place the menorah towards the right of your entrance, then you need to begin always with the candle on the right, with the wick on the right. Shusamach ha'pesach, which is near the entrance. And then you're going to go from the right to the left. If you're going to put the menorah to the left of the doorway, you also need to light always from the candle that is near the entrance. This could be referring to if there's a mezuzah on the door or not. The question is, why wouldn't there be a mezuzah? And you are going to go and light from the left to the right. You could do whatever you want. So, in other words, this is the opinion of the Vilna Gaon, just quoted in the Sharat Tziyun, and he's going to hold that if you don't have a mezuzah versus if you do have a mezuzah, that's going to be the difference of where you light by the door. Now, we don't light by the door anyway, so it's not relevant to us. And it's very good and correct if you're able to order the entire menorah and all of the candles or the wicks and the oil in the hollow space of the door, that all of them will be equal. They're going to be within 3 or 4 inches of the door. But you should be very careful not to open the door the first half an hour when the menorah is lit, so that the wind will not extinguish the menorah. And to look at the Ber Halacha, how the Taz is going to hold. We'll see that Taz. Why do you always want to light towards your right, like we said? Like the Gemara in Yuma says, any way that you turn, should only turn to the right. So this is where it comes from, and this is the idea. Every single night you should make a bracha on the added one. The same exact halacha would apply, and this is where it gets relevant for us. For those who are lighting in a window, or in the hollow space of the door, or in the shul, Belel Rishon, Yadlik B'Tachila, Ner HaYoyser Yamini, on the first night, you light the one all the way on the right, Ubelel Sheni B'Yoyser Smoli, and then the left one, and then on the second night, you go and you light from the left. So you don't light all the one all the way to the right, you light the one next to the one all the way on the right. Similarly, on the third and fourth night of Hanukkah, you're moving over towards the left. B'kol zeh, and with all this, yarchi chetatzmo l'sad smol beis halakha. Here it is. You should distance yourself to the left-hand side when you are lighting. In other words, if the street is in, just demonstrate it this way is probably easier. If this is the street towards this door over here, right? So if the menorah is right over here, and I'm gonna face the street while I light, we're saying the first night you light over here, second night over there, third, and then you keep lighting that way. So it's right when you're facing it. Now, why should you distance yourself more towards the left? Kadei sheyifka, in order that you will reach bo techila, in order that you're going to reach it first. V'lo yitzarech lahavir mitzvahs, and you don't need to pass over mitzvahs. In other words, you want to be able to reach the one that you're lighting and be close to, both in terms of your hand and in terms of your whole body, to the one that you're going to be lighting. According to that other opinion on Israel, which is mentioned earlier, you always make the bracha on the first candle, first wick, first oil that you're going to light, first wick, which is the main mitzvah. This is why you want to make sure that that first wick that you're going to light is towards the left.
Towards the right, right?
Yeah. The first wick, the first candle, and then
Towards the right.
afterwards, b'chol yom, every single day, you want to be moisef b'chol l'sad yom, and then you want to add and go to the right.
Is there ever a situation where you light from the left first or no?
No. We're going to see the opinion of the Taz. I mean, I think that this actually is he trying to tie in the Taz over here? Yeah, we're going to see there's going to be different opinions. Hold it. Okay, wait, one more time. Well, according to the opinion, you make a bracha on the first one, which is the main mitzvah. Small. So now you want it towards the left. And then you go to the right. The lighting should always be the candle, the wick that is going to be on the left side, and then you go to the right. Oh, okay. So this is
the opposite.
this is a tweak. Yeah, this is a tweak, I think, of the opinion of the Taz. I just want to just so that we're all on the same page over here. The way that I set it up in the charts that I wrote years ago is these are the charts that I made. There's basically going to be a. You could pause that if you want to. There's going to be a three-way machloikis over here, and let's learn about this from the Be'er Halacha. There's going to be three main opinions of how to light over here. First is the Shulchan Aruch, which you already discussed.
That's clear cut.
The Vilna Gaon, yes, the Vilna Gaon is pretty clear cut. It depends on the door if you have a mezuzah or not. And then you have the Taz, which is going to say the opposite of the Vilna Gaon. So now the question is, which wick are you going to light first according to the Taz? So we would assume it's going to be this one. This one. He holds you go all the way left, and then it's going to be this one. But we just saw in the Mishnah Berurah, no, it's always this one because you always want to go right. So there's a tweak in the opinion of the Taz. So basically, there's four different opinions, and within the fourth opinion of the Vilna Gaon, it's dependent upon whether there's going to be a mezuzah or not on the door. I wouldn't call the Vilna Gaon a fourth opinion. I would just call it a another idea based on different scenarios which could come about, which could result. But maybe you could call it an opinion. So that's basically in a nutshell. Let's see that in the Be'er Halach over here. You want to go to the right over here. Well, actually, before we do the Be'er Halacha, sorry for the little back and forth over here. Let's take a look at this Mishnah Berurah commenting on this idea that he just said. He was just talking about over here how you want to make sure that you're standing by the close to the one that you're going to be lighting. Lafuke shelo ya'amid. Shelo ya'amod, excuse me. Neged hanedo is hakoidmin. Sakil yodo neger sa'afnoin. So kukushas etav. Coming to say you don't want to stand by some of the wicks, some of the candles. You don't want to stand by there and then move your hand to the other
So
candles.
it's talking
Yeah,
about
exactly. You want to get your entire body, not just your hand.
just because of that one statement by who's the Mishnah we're quoting on that one?
He's quoting right here.
Is it Sharatim
This is his
quote?
own idea.
His own idea.
Chayadim, chayadim. Because the Mishnah Brura starts this. You want to distance yourself. He's going on this chayadim over here. Chayadim. This is a well-known halacha. You probably heard this before.
That what?
That you want to make sure that your body and your hand are not going to pass over what you're not going to be lighting first.
Well, that's an aiming for an mitzvah.
Right. That's the whole idea of it. That's the whole idea
It's
of
an
it.
interesting. Isn't an arm an extension of the body?
No, it is, but we want to make sure that you're not. It's your whole body subject to it. Yeah.
That's just I hear where it's coming from. It's just
Yeah.
input.
Yeah. In the words of the Ozvalda Mishnah Brura, "V'niu dadasi yeshayimim, sayim shisarach la'avik dav v'tech l'samach l'pesach l'varach." I don't know. No, that's something else. So let's see the Bear Halachos over here, and we'll try to just basically here. Here's what he says it. I know. Shako gufu yeh mismol menorah. Ach yadu yamina semenas mula ner hasmol biyoyis shel menorah. Kedishivka mashinki im yamo b'shava mul menorah. Dahainu yadu yaminas mul haner yamini v'yadu hasmolas mul ner hasmol yamask dahavlik bener hayoyis smol yeharu oiver. Al kol haner shemenachem menorah v'lo madlik miyada el madik ad medalig alehem ad shabol ner hasmol v'achach choizel lahavlik as ner shel hodluk mukal. Yeah, they were once you get your whole body.
Candles, and as your body is not there,
yeah,
you're passing over those candles when you're extending your hand.
Yeah.
So,
Body's a body.
wild concept.
Yeah. Let's see the Be'er Halacha to line up the different opinions properly over here. Be'er Halacha begins by saying, oops, that's a Shari Tshuva. Yeah. Clearly funus. I Mishnah Brura. B'das lavush v'hataz, the kavanas ha'gemara hefech mizeh. The intention of the Gemara is opposite from this. You should go from the right to the left.
Yeah, that's what we said at the beginning.
Right. That's what the Taz rules. If you have a mezuzah, right? The mezuzah is always going to be to the right of the direction that you're going in. So if you have a mezuzah, so now you put the menorah on the opposite side, to the left when you're walking in the house. Yisadrim betefach samach pesach v'itin belad harishon haner etla pesach belad l'shin yitin haner nofel l'sarich al habayis tahini ushaner noitzav yel yamino v'nerishon yel l'smolo. So on the second night, you're going to be lighting the second candle when you're going into the house to the left, right? So So you're gonna want to light the extra candle, the extra wick, the new one. So you're gonna be lighting from right to left, according to the Taz.
That's what we normally do. That's what the Rav showed us, right? Because we had the menorah here,
Okay.
starting from the beginning over here, from right.
That's by the door. Right, that's by the door. Right to left. Right to left. So you're facing, so let's say we're going into a house. Mezuzah's on the right. So now menorah is going to be on the left.
Okay.
And you're going to light from right to left.
That's from the right to that's opposite what we say. It's not clear because you want to, I guess you want the candles to be closest, the newest candle to be closest to the mezuzah. That's what we're saying.
Yes, the newest one is going to be closer to mezuzah, right?
Right, so
So
therefore
you're
you're
gonna go right to
lighting
left.
from right to left as opposed to what we said before, you started.
No, we said left to right.
Correct.
Right.
Wow.
Furthermore,
Obviously, if you're lighting.
furthermore, where are you going to be loading up everything? So that's why I said in the beginning that let's just make it easier. The streets, well, it's always confusing which way you're facing. If you're facing the street and the menorah is in between you and the street, you start lighting all the way on your right, and the next night is on your left, and then you keep going right. So that's good. You're always going right.
Mhm.
According to the Taz, the problem is you're doing the opposite. You're lighting all the way on the left of the menorah, and now you're lighting right.
Starting.
Excuse me, you're lighting left because your new one is closer to the mezuzah,
Just
and now you're doing left. But we said all your motions should be right. That's an issue with the Taz. He says you're right, you're going from the right to left. But if you're lighting it in the hollow space of the entrance of the house or in the window or in the shul, you shouldn't be kitzur shur haner lismolo. So you should, excuse me, so you should order it on the first night at the line that is all the way left. It's all the way left. On the second night, second night you go rightwards. The first wick candle is going to be to your left. If you start from the additional candle, which is to the right. He says again, you're going from the right to the left. That's similarly every single night. When you're putting an additional candle or wick, let's say wick your candle, you should light from it and you should go from the right to the left. Until on the eighth night, the additional wick or candle is all the way to the right. Also, you're going from the right to left. This is all according to the Taz. Your back should be towards the north and face towards the south. Prima Gadim says he went like the Taz. Comes out that we have three different opinions, summarizes the Be'er Halacha. By the way, even on the eighth night, when everyone puts all of the wicks, when the whole menorah is full, it still matters which opinion you go like, because which one are you lighting first? Where are you starting from? You have three different opinions. That's Machaber, the Shulchan Aruch. V'das Rashal v'Hagra, you have the opinion of the Vilna Gaon, which we saw in the Mishnah Brura. That was the Mishnah Brura in Tez. That's the Taz, with the opinion of Taz. V'kol echad yaseh kimin hago. Everyone should go according to his custom. And even though the Chai Adam only mentions the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch and the opinion of the Rashal, nevertheless, do not push off the opinion of the Taz, since the Pri Megadim and Derech Chaim hold like him, or at least relate what he says. No, that's what we said before. We go like the Shulchan Aruch. That's why I quoted all those Achronim. There's no difference. Whatever you do, according to all opinions, you will fulfill your obligation. Says the Be'er Halacha. This is what I said before. Outside also, there's no difference what you do. We're just talking about preferably where you. What's the best way to start lighting? What's the best way? That's what we're talking about. That's what I'm saying. If there's ever, some sort of quarrel in the house over this, just let the other person do whatever they want. Because that is much more important than this, right? In your own house, fine, you figure out what to do, but anyways, so this is the Be'er Halacha, right? These are different opinions.
The best thing is to do is to light by the window and then
Even when you
that's
light by the window, the question is which way are you going? You going the Taz route or the
because
Shulchan
once you're
Aruch
by the
route?
window, well, in our house, let's say the bigger houses, right?
Yeah.
Where the window is not near any door.
So,
So wouldn't the Taz hold in that case also you start from, because you're
but
not near a mezuzah, you're not near a,
okay, this is what to look into there. Certainly is what to look into. Right, I hear that. The grow is also going on with the mezuzah, with the not mezuzah. Seems like the Taz is also based on a mezuzah, 100%. See the Sheretz Tziyun over here. Sheretz Tziyun says, Rashal v'chinu das hagra, shu cholik al ma shekotze b'shulchan aruch shevarach al anoisif. Mishum da'alo, ze inu elo l'mahad b'yosef v'aniach k'ra mitzvah yivarach al rishos. He doesn't like it how you're making the bracha and you're gonna light the new wick or candle that you're putting over there. Because that new wick or candle, that's only a hiddur, way of beautifying the mitzvah. So he doesn't like it how you're making a bracha on something which is the cherry on the cake and you're missing the cake. The main mitzvah is the actual candle, the first one, actual wick. Making something optional, so to say. V'gam mishum pinus yamin. Also, you should be going towards the right, like we said. So now you're missing out on a mitzvah of lighting within 4 inches of the entrance. In other words, according to the Taz, every single night you're going to be lighting further away because you're always lighting more to the right from the
mezuzah and the doorpost.
no, the doorpost. That's the word I'm looking for. From the doorpost on the left. So that's a problem. Just to light the new one, and the new one's even questionable. Bein madlik b'yamin Pesach or b'small v'yavarach kol halaylos olav. Rather, the opinion of the Vilna Gaon is a tweak of the Taz. You're always lighting the candle that is close to the door. In other words, let's say we enter into the house this way. And let's say the mezuzah is right over here. So now, according to the Vilna Gaon, you're going to ride over here with the mezuzah. Remember, there's the entrance. And you're going to light the candle that's closest to this. However, if there happens to not be a mezuzah, the question why there wouldn't be a mezuzah, you're always lighting the candle right over here. So you're always hugging the doorpost. So that's the Vilna Gaon, not like the Taz.
Maybe you're in a Goyisha inn, you're visiting.
Yeah, whatever it is, whatever the reason is, that could very well be. When this gets accomplished, madlik umevorech, you light and you make the bracha tamen always on the one that is right by the doorpost, and that's the main mitzvah. So, in other words, according to the Vilna Gaon, yeah, you're not making a bracha on the new one that you're lighting, because the original one is the main one. You're always lighting close to the doorpost. Oh, according to the Vilna Gaon. Depending upon when there's a mezuzah or not. So that basically is this siman. The only points that are noteworthy to mention is the Be'er Heitiv. There's an interesting Be'er Heitiv which discusses something not related to this. The Be'er Heitiv in Hay says, "Ve'im hedlik v'loy beirach yesh lo levarach ha'ashar v'kol zman she'oisik yesh lo levarach." We touched upon this already in previous sessions. If a person lit the menorah and didn't make the bracha. He can make a bracha on the remaining part of the menorah that he didn't light yet, as long as he's involved with it. The truth of the matter is, we saw Shachianu Shasanisim, you could, well, that was a whole discussion of itself. Maybe you should wait for the next night if you didn't do it, but you lose out on Shasanisim that night. So you do it that night, Shasanisim. But the question is, the Hadlik near Shulchan. So the insight of the halachas ketanos over here is that if you were still in the process of lighting, even though you lit the main one, aka the first wick or candle, nevertheless you could still say the bracha. The
Ah,
Shar Hatzion, the Sha'arei Tshuva has an interesting idea over here. I think it would be worthwhile to learn the Sha'arei Tshuva. Sha'arei Tshuva in Dibur Hamaskil Bracha. A bracha says, "Umasha kosav a kol zman she'oisik mashma ksas daflach shehid lekulam ela she'adayin otzuk sham betikun hapsilus v'kayotzi v'yochel levarech." When we just said, when the Ber Heitev said, as long as you're involved with the menorah, you could say a bracha. It's implied, even after you lit all of them, but you're still involved with fixing the wicks. You lit them, you're just involved with fixing the wicks. You could still make the bracha. Says the Shari Tshuva, it's incorrect. There it is again. As it says in your day in Simon Yud Tes and Ochel Shchita. According to the Shach, you cannot make the bracha, special bracha when you slaughter an animal, after the animal is slaughtered, if you didn't make the bracha beforehand. According to the Pri Chodesh, if you remember within a second and a half after you slaughter the animal, you could say the bracha. We learned that also by bedikas chametz, checking for chametz. If you finish checking, you cannot make the bracha. The bracha of al netilas yadayim after washing for bread. Simin taf reish lamites or taf reish mem, the halachas of sukkah. If you already left the sukkah, you can't say leisha b'sukkah. B'simin taf reish and aleph. Those are the halachas of daled minim. After you shake lulav and esrog, the four minim, you didn't make a bracha, you lost out. If you forgot to make the bracha before you took them, you could still make the bracha. Because the time continues that you could shake it. According to Eli Rabba, it's still called you saying the bracha before you do the mitzvah because you're still being involved. Because as long as it's in your hand, it's considered the mitzvah's done. But that's if it's actually in your hand. Once you put it down, you lost the bracha. Once you left the sukkah, you left the sukkah. V'zeh eino. Says the Shari Tshuva, I disagree with that. V'zeh eino inyan lakan. That you cannot use that over here. The hosam over there, tachsas habracha lakicha. Over there, the bracha is on taking it. The entire time the daliminim are in your hand, the luv and the esrog hadas menorah is in your hand is considered one taking. And therefore, consequently, it will be permissible to recite the bracha masha inkin kanche tachsas bracha lahaschi lahadlik. Kol shehidlik miyad gomer mitzvah, unlike over here. Mitzvah is lighting. Once you finish lighting, the mitzvah is finished. Dunsies. Continuing the Shari Tshuva, be'efshar degam kan. Im ha'esik be'inyan she'im lo haya misakin haya oimid lekavas miyad. It's possible that over here, if you were involved with it in a way that if you wouldn't fix it, it would get extinguished immediately. Shaper yachal avarch. Then you could make the bracha. David kilo hiskal adayin klal kiv chay sasiti lekavas miyad laka zoi ki agam vavade kaftu zakakla. Because consider it as if you didn't lay it. Because if in the future it would just extinguish, so then we would say kafta zakukla. That if it extinguished, you would need to rekindle it. You would need to relight it. When do we say, and we didn't learn about this yet, but there's a concept that the Gemara talks about, and it makes its way into halacha that we're going to have to learn about kafta ein zakukla. that means that if it extinguished, you don't need to relight it. That's only talking about if it was lit properly to begin with. It had to be lit properly to begin with. But if it wasn't lit properly to begin with, so then we're not going to say kafta ein zakakol that you don't need to relight it. Rather, you would need to relight it if it wasn't lit properly. So we're saying over here that if it didn't catch properly on the wicks, and you need to fix the wick, says the Shari Tshuva, then I'll agree to the Bear Hativ quoting the halachic kitanos, who said that you could still make the bracha. It's not even halachically considered lit.
Just I'm fixing the lights.
Right. If you're just trying to enhance it, so then it's nothing good. Then the Shari Tshuva, after some more comments on this, says, let's see lit the first one. The first wick, the first candle, you didn't make the bracha. Could you make a bracha on Hashar, on the other ones? Answers the Be'er Hetiv, answers the Halachas Katanas. Even if you're involved with the other ones which are a way of beautifying the mitzvah, you can still make the bracha. What does it mean? When you're involved with other candles, the other wicks which are a beautification of the mitzvah as we hold. We add one every single night, you can make the bracha. But it's not referring to that after you completed lighting the entire menorah, so then you don't make a bracha, even though you're still involved with them. It's not talking about after you finish lighting everything, then you can't make the bracha. But the wicks, then you could. That's the Shari Tshuva's tweak of this halachas katanos. Very briefly, because we're going to get kicked out of the Zoom in 1 minute. The Aruch HaShulchan Aruch Yadal, it says, "La'aniyas ta'iti nirda to Menorah Chanukah kevendika mitzvah beria." The Iker Presuminisa hi ariya yochel avar kam acher kach. The Aruch HaShulchan is lenient. The whole idea of Chanukah is publicizing the miracle. If you see it, you're publicizing it. He says, I wrote a similar idea in your Deya in Siman Kov Ches Sif Ches regarding Kisoy Adam. Then he quotes the Shari Tshuva. He says he didn't say that. But I'm arguing, even if you finished lighting, says the Aruch HaShulchan, you could still say Lahadlik Ner Shel Chanukah, which I don't think is so simple. And then he says, some say that Sha'asa Nisim and Shachianu, you can make the bracha even afterwards. But Lahadlik, you cannot say. Oh, now he says Lahadlik Ner Shel Chanukah, you cannot say after you finish. Because the rest is for Hiddur. Can't say it. That's what Rabbi Akiva Eiger says. And then he says, I didn't understand that. Are the other candles going to be worse than washing your hands? And still, we say that, oh, you could say the bracha before you dry your hands is considered part of the mitzvah. So he says this requires more research. In other words, if you didn't finish lighting, or if you're fixing the wicks, you could still say the bracha v'havik ner shel Chanukah. But if you finished everything, you cannot. And no matter what, even if you finish, you could say Sha'asa Nisim and Shachianu. That's the conclusion. That was pretty relevant. It's crazy.